welcome to the show. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I know we're a day early. We're gonna probably. I may jump on do a little quick live tomorrow, but we're gonna pretty much take the day off tomorrow. I'm not taking the day off. I do have some work. I have some meetings scheduled, things like that. But it is going to be Thanksgiving, and we got a lot to be thankful for. We still live in the greatest nation in the world, even if it is a train wreck right now, but it's still the best nation there is, and we got a lot to fight for, and we should be thankful and take a minute to remember what we are fighting for, because it's a beautiful country. And we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about the true story of Thanksgiving. We're going to talk about how it went down. And a lot of people don't know, we've talked about this before, but America, when we came about, the true story of Thanksgiving really isn't, hey, we came to America, things were rough, we met some Indians, and everything was good, right? That isn't what actually happened. The true story of Thanksgiving is a story of socialism versus capitalism. We came here, we thought we were going to start this socialist utopia. It went to hell. We implemented some capitalism, and boom, we got a huge country. That's a little bit of an oversimplification. We're going to get into it. But the point is it's not what you've been told. Much like everything else, history's been whitewashed with regards to Thanksgiving. But we'll get to that today, and I am very excited to talk about it. I love telling these stories. We're also going to talk about some other things. We'll get to some news. Prayers for our National Guardsmen in D.C. We've some lunatic opened fire on a couple National Guardsmen in D.C. We don't really know much about the lunatic. Unfortunately, from what I'm seeing, 2 National Guardsmen have been reported dead. They were both shot. Originally, they're told they're in critical, and apparently they've both been declared dead. From what we're seeing, the gunman was shot but loaded into an ambulance and taken away, and is, I don't know, unfortunately alive, I guess. But this guy is, well, I'm guessing we're going to find out he is a Democrat activist or some other lunatic of the sort. I'm sure that there is a move right now underway to cover up who he really is and to lie and make sure that we've been told he's something he's not. But let's pray for the family of those guardsmen today. It's a shame. They're trying to keep our nation's capital safe, and unfortunately, one day before Thanksgiving, they're gone. So our prayers for them and their families. We've got a whole bunch of other stuff going on, some big fires going on, some interesting things about the housing market, lots of stuff to talk about. So it'll be a good day, big show, lots to talk about. But before I get going, let me remember a grifter's got a grift, so let's do a little bit of that. Please support us, GiveSendGo.com/RensLaw, GiveSendGo.com/RensLaw. We need your help, need your support. We keep fighting, but we need you to back us so that we can continue on that fight. Become a monthly donor, $10 a month, $20 a month, whatever you can give. Your donations mean the world to us. We're grateful for it. It allows us to keep getting the news out, keep fighting, keep doing all the things. And we've got to have your support. I'm telling you, folks, it's ugly. It is ugly right now. We've got a lot of influencers out there that are willing to you can make great money if you lie. If you take a political side, if you do this, you do that, but we're based on truth here. Listen, it's just truth and common sense. So we tell the truth. We love Trump, but his administration makes mistakes. The Democrats are insane. They're clearly behind a number of the conspiracies and problems in our country. We don't really care who we offend. We just tell the truth, but it's expensive to do, and no one backs you. So please help us, GiveSendGo.com/RensLaw. And also go to TomRens.com, www.TomRens.com. We got a lot of sponsors. I want to remind you guys when you go there to check out men's hormone support. Men's hormone support from Global Healing. We love men's hormone support. Listen, this is our solution to the war on testosterone. We want men to be men, and men can't be men if they have no testosterone. It's just not the way it works. So make sure you're checking out men's hormone support and all the other Global Healing products that we carry. They are wonderful, wonderful, best products on the market. You don't get better nutritional products than Global Healing. Also, we've got to talk today. I want to talk about my friends at Farm Easy Bank. Farm Easy Bank. Okay, so these are some really, really good people. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. if you want to be free, if you want to live free, you got to be healthy. We've got to protect our Maha and Meg are hand in hand. You can't be healthy if you're or free if you're not healthy. You can be enslaved to pharma, enslaved to illness, and enslaved to sickness. You got to eat right. You got to take care of yourself. You got to work out. You got to do all these things, and you also need to take a good look at PharmEasy Bank. Ivermax 15 right here. I keep it right here. I've got extra. I've got it all over the place. We use this in my home. It's a good product. Ivermax 15 is from PharmEasyBank.com. And it's, by the way, it's PHARM easy, EASY bank.com. It's not an average supplement. It's not horse paste. This is actually pharmaceutical grade ivermectin. It is pharmaceutical grade. PharmEasy Bank's got the best stuff. It's made simple, made safe, and made accessible. Ivermax 15, you're getting the same trusted formula that doctors around the world use for ivermectin. Just a wonderful, wonderful product. It's about staying strong. It's about boosting your vitality, taking care of your health, and doing so without just bowing to this kind of corporate medicine nonsense. We really, really got to support our people like PharmEasy Bank because honestly, they're giving us access to things that we need that are safe and effective. Head over to PharmEasy Bank and use checkout code RENZ. You get a 20% discount. You got to use checkout code RENZ, R-E-N-Z. Get your Ivermax 15. They've got great Fenben over there. They've got all sorts of good stuff, anything you need. But check it out at PharmEasy Bank because real strength starts with real health, and PharmEasy Bank's making that easy. Make sure that you are supporting PharmEasy Bank, real medicine, real freedom, PharmEasyBank.com. Okay, let's move into some other things. I want to talk to you guys about a true story that I've told before, but before I do, I want to show you the full story. So if we can bring this up, Ben, I want to show this video. This video is something everybody on the planet's seen 10 times. This is the Peanuts Thanksgiving. Okay, the Peanuts Thanksgiving. If you haven't seen Peanuts Thanksgiving, I don't know, everybody's seen this. It's just, I think it's mandatory to survive. But Peanuts Thanksgiving, this is Linus explaining Thanksgiving, and what he's saying is incorrect. Okay, it's not entirely incorrect, but it's incorrect. Let's look at this.
In the year 1621, the Pilgrims held their first Thanksgiving feast. They invited the great Indian chief, Massasoit, who brought 90 of his brave Indians and a great abundance of food. Governor William Bradford and Captain Miles Standish were honored guests. Elder William Brewster, who was a minister, said a prayer that went something like this: "We thank God for our homes and our food and our safety in a new land. We thank God for the opportunity to create a new world for freedom and justice." Amen.
Amen. And it's a beautiful thing. It's a wonderful thought, and it's wrong. I don't want to ruin anybody's memories, but it's incorrect, right? It's incorrect. And it's not entirely incorrect, right? It's not entirely wrong. There's some things you've got to understand, right? So going back to 1621, right? There's no internet. People don't know what's going on. So you have a lot of things in this that were true. We were told that, and if we go back to what the historical discussion of Thanksgiving is, it's basically pilgrims, they leave to escape religious persecution. That's true. They come to America in the Mayflower in 1620. And the story is they almost starved their first winter because they didn't know how to farm or hunt in the new land. The friendly Indians come around, and Squanto and the chief, they taught them how to plant corn and catch fish and hunt, and because according to the story, the white men that came to this country were borderline retarded and couldn't do anything, and so they were failing, and the Indians saved them. And then in the fall, the Indians and the Pilgrims have this big feast to thank God. They all show up, they all sing Kumbaya, and now we eat cranberry sauce and watch football on Thanksgiving to celebrate that, right? And that's partially true. That's partially true. There's a few things that are incorrect, right? And we know this. I'm going to get into the whys here in a second, but we know that first of all, they didn't almost starve. The Pilgrims didn't almost starve because they were incompetent. I mean, these were people, they moved to America knowing they were going to have to, that there's nothing there. They're going to have to farm. They're going to have to hunt. They're going to have to fish. That wasn't it. The issue is not that. It's that the society was structured as under essentially this socialist regime. Now, I'm going to get to that in a second. The 1621 harvest that they talk about really wasn't all that good, right? They're rationing food and they were on the edge of starvation all the way already in 1622. So, I mean, it wasn't like it was enough to get them through and everything was great. The big feast that they had wasn't in 1621. They were rationing food and they got by in 1621. But the real good stuff didn't happen until 1623. You know what happened in 1623? They booted socialism and went back to capitalism. Then things were, great. The idea is essentially the pop culture Thanksgiving is that it's all about, this kind of our cultures coming together and the Pilgrims and the Indians, this, that, and other. But that really has nothing to do with what happened. That's not the real story. And part of the problem, there's a number of reasons for this, right? So the biggest problem is that Thanksgiving was declared a national holiday back in 1863. So that's an Abraham Lincoln thing, right? And at that point, only thing we really had, the history of Thanksgiving was lost, right? So we had a real short paragraph blurb by a guy named Edward Winslow, who described this harvest celebration with the Indians. And so at that point, everybody took that and they just kind of ran with it. The problem is William Bradford, who was, the boss of the Pilgrims back in the day, had a journal. Now, that journal was passed down in his family for years and years and years, but was lost, right? So it was lost somewhere. And it was actually passed down in his family and then given to a library. And they didn't find it again until the 1850s. And just no one had really found it or looked at it at that point. So this kind of rolls out. Nobody really knows what happened. But Bradford had a journal. He kept a journal of what happened. And then once they rediscovered it, well, they'd already had this wonderful story about the Indians and the white man and this, that, and other. And so that was used to kind of promote this kind of social nonsense. But that isn't what actually happened, right? So let's talk about the real story of Thanksgiving. So go back to 1620 when the Pilgrims show up here. Now, I want you guys to think about that. These guys are escaping religious persecution in England. That's true, or Europe. These guys are trying to get away from this horrific religious persecution that's occurring. But these aren't people who were spoiled rotten with modern conveniences. This is 1620. Everybody knows a little bit about survival because it was 1620. It's not like they were living in resort homes. They didn't have a microwave at home in Europe and then they come here and there's nothing. They were living, a little bit rough in Europe too. They knew they were going to have to hunt and fish. They knew they were going to have to farm. This wasn't something that was unknown to these people. They knew what to expect. The problem is that when they came here to the United States, they initially organized their economy based on the terms of their contract with these guys who funded the trip, right? And that's the Virginia Company merchants. Well, the agreement with them basically said that all land and houses and production were going to be owned collectively, right? So socialism, you don't own your stuff. You own nothing and you'll like it, right? Sounds like the World Economic Forum today. You'll own nothing and you will like it. And so that is what they were pushing. And then basically every person, regardless of age or ability, was entitled to an equal share of the food and goods. and everyone was required to work in the common storehouse, and the crops, everything else belonged to the community, not to the individual. So this was a socialist utopia that they were building, right? Here's the problem. This was this kind of communal system, and William Bradford described it as in his journal. In this way, he said, all the profits and all the benefits that are got by trade, tariff, trucking, working, fishing, or any one other means were to be placed in common stock, and every person receives equal shares. Okay, that's a bit of a problem, right? Why? So Bradford recorded this, and he talked about it, and he talked about it extensively because it was he was journaling. He had, his journal ended up being 200 and some pages. There's a lot of information in there. So here's what happened. You own nothing. Everything you work, doesn't matter how hard you work, it doesn't matter whether you slack, you get the same thing. So the able-bodied men, the guys who could hunt and farm and fish, and who, they could bust their ass and they could make things great. Well, they said, well, why would I do that when the lazy guy over there gets as much as I do, right? So you had, the people who were like, yeah, I don't feel like working. Or you also had people who just couldn't, in fairness, there are people who couldn't work or couldn't produce as much. But the guys who could really tear it up looked around. It's like, why work so hard? I'm not getting anything out of this, right? There's no benefit for me. There's no benefit for my family. I can work 100 hours a week, and guess what? I get the same as if I work 10 hours a week. So why would I work 100 hours a week? And that makes sense. I want you to think about it in your life. Think about it in modern terms. Let's say that you work at McDonald's, and you could work 1 hour a week, or you could work 100 hours a week. But either way, you got the same thing. How many hours would you work? Well, it wouldn't be 100. Why would you do that, right? It doesn't even make sense. This is just common sense. No one would work hard, because why would you do that? So there's no incentive, right? Bradford said, for the young men that were most able or fit for labor and service did repine that they should spend their time and strength to work for other men's wives and children without any recompense. Basically, what that means in modern English is the young guys who were able to do the farming and the hunting, and who could really bust their butts. And back in those days, it was farming and hunting and those sorts of things. But the young guys that were able to do that all said, piss off. Why would I do this? Why would I work harder so that someone else's wife and kids can have a better life? Let that husband work harder, right? Because there's no difference how hard they work. They get the same amount. So that became a real issue. This also led, and remember, back in those days, women and men did different things. Women were supposed to be doing like these communal chores, laundry, cooking, all this stuff for the whole colony. Well, they said, piss off. I'm not cooking for everybody. I cook for my family, or not. But the women basically said, hey, this is like slavery, right? We're not doing this. And so the women were mad. The men were mad. The women were mad. Nobody likes it, because why would you be working your tail off for people that that aren't doing the same? Why would you do that, right? So what ended up happening is people pretended to be sick. They worked slow. They stole from the fields. They slacked, whatever, because it didn't matter. Nobody bothered work. So there was no output. Everything collapsed. So that wonderful, wonderful harvest of 1621 that Linus was talking about wasn't so wonderful. And in fact, for the first two winters, 1621, 1622, people were dying. They were starving to death. There's, great hunting, great fishing, great soil, but people were starving to death because nobody worked. So this created a disaster. And Bradford, in his journal, said, quote, this community was found to breed much confusion and discontent and retard much employment. For this community, so far as it was found to breed much confusion and discontent. He said, it didn't work. It didn't work. right? Nobody did that. So 1623, Bradford, the governor, and the leadership say, yeah, we're kind of done with this. This is not working out. We're done with this socialism crap. We're going to make some changes, right? So every household then got a parcel of land proportional to the household size. So if you have a big family, well, you got a bigger piece of land. If you got a small family, you got a smaller piece. And then whatever the family grew on its plot belonged to the family. They could do whatever they wanted to do with it. They could trade it, they could keep it, they could sell it, whatever. Now, the common storehouse was generally got rid of, although they did keep a certain tax to maintain public needs, like the militia, the minister, because back then you had a minister. There were certain things that were paid out of the public storehouse, but that was basically just a small tax to keep the basics done, right? So as soon as they do this, guess what happens? Productivity explodes. Bradford wrote about the fact that women and children were excited to go to the fields, and they're working hard because they were working for their own families. In fact, the 1623 was so abundant that they had surplus corn to trade with Indians. It was in 1623, after capitalism was introduced, that the Thanksgiving actually became something worth celebrating. It was in 1623, after capitalism was introduced, that people weren't starving and dying. It actually ended starvation permanently. By 1624, they were exporting food, and the colony really started to do well. Bradford wrote, and he concluded, and it's probably one of the clearest historical indictments of socialism ever, quote, "The experience that was had in this common course and condition may well evince the vanity of that conceit of Plato's, that the taking away of property and bringing it in community into a commonwealth would make them happy and flourishing, as if they were wiser than God." It was always absurdity. It was insane. The Pilgrims tried socialism because their investors tried to force it on them. It made people lazy, made them resentful. It created mass death and starvation. It was horrible. When they did away with socialism, suddenly the things got better. Everything improved. Things were good. There was abundance. Life was improving. Everything was better. The real story of the first Thanksgiving is not that we made buddies with the Indians and did good. The real story of the first Thanksgiving is how thankful we should be that we realized, and that our ancestors realized, that socialism's a disaster and it won't work. For hundreds of years, the American experiment realized that. We built on it. It was common sense. Why would I work for someone else? I wouldn't. There's no need for me to work. Socialism can't work and won't work and will never work. It's not a good idea. Socialism allows the elites to prosper and everybody else to suffer. Because guess what? When you have socialism, the people who control the store, the community store, they weren't starving. But the people were starving because there wasn't enough. That is always the truth about socialism. It is always the reality. William Bradford was the man, and just so you all know, he was the governor of Plymouth Colony for over 30 years, and he just kept getting reelected over and over and over. He was first elected in 1621, then reelected every year, right? He wrote his journal from 1620 to 1647. So this is a firsthand account by the guy who was in charge, right? We know that it's the most accurate story that we have of what actually happened. It really was quite clear. Now, there's a lot, if you look at it, there's some wonderful poll quotes from there. It just doesn't work. It never worked. So here's I want to read this one to you. This is about how things got after 1623 when private plots were assigned. Quote, "And so assigned to every family a parcel of land according to the proportion of their number. This had very good success, for it made all hands very industrious. Women now went willingly into the field, And the change was so successful that instead of famine, now God gave them plenty, and the face of things was changed to the rejoicing of the hearts of many, for which they blessed God. They were thankful. They were thankful in 1623 when they realized that socialism was an epic failure that could never succeed. They were thankful when they realized that only through capitalism can we ever actually realize opportunity. Now, I would go so far as to narrate this a little bit further and to suggest this. Capitalism must be accompanied by a certain level of morality. Amoral capitalism will lead to the collapse of capitalism, right? Because what will happen is people will manipulate the system for their own good, and eventually they will bastardize capitalism into a socialist communist nightmare. We're seeing some of that right now. One of the things that's happened is we've created a moral social capitalism that's really morphed into a form of socialism. It's capitalism for some, but not for all. Our laws in this country right now have moved away from actual capitalism. We like to still say that we're capitalists, but we're not. The reality is that if you want to enter into industry in many, many areas, good luck, because we have monopolies. We have anti-competitive systems created all over the place, and no one's enforcing a fair playing field for everybody. So what's happening now is the big businesses are colluding and shutting out small businesses. We're still calling it capitalism. We're giving the people the illusion of capitalism, but we don't have it. What we have now is corporate cronyism. Where we're creating a public-private partnership between our federal government and between different industries, where thereby we are actually allowing those industry leaders, the monopolies that live in every vertical, to control those verticals to such an extent that there's no competition. And while they are not governmental, they are also certainly not allowing for true capitalism to occur. We do have we have lots of rules to prevent monopolies. We have lots of fair trade rules, things like that. They're not being enforced. Nobody's enforcing them. There's no question in my mind that Google, that some of these large banks, some of these Amazon, I mean, a lot of these guys to me are absolutely monopolies, and there's just no enforcement of the anti or fair trade laws, none. So that's creating a situation where we have essentially a bastardized form of capitalism, which is no good either. We've got to get back to true capitalism, where people can embrace and chase their dreams, where people can build their own businesses, where people can own a home and live a life, not be in a 50-year mortgage where you will never own anything. You just rent from the bank for your entire life. And I mean, we're already renting from the government, because quit paying property tax and see how long you own your home. And even if you do pay your home off, you still don't own it, because the government will seize it. The bank will seize it if you quit paying those property taxes. It's just no good. So right now, you've got to understand, we still rent from the government. And now with the 50-year mortgage debacle and other such things, we're trying to move into a situation where you never actually own your home. You just rent it from a bank, rent it from the government, rent it from someone, and that's that. It's not at all a good situation, folks. And it's something that we really need to do a lot of work on. But that work will only be done if we, the people, speak out. Now, I want to transition from the true thanksgiving and the true great gratitude I feel for our ancestors realizing that socialism doesn't work, which, by the way, is what we're fighting right now. By the way, I really want to stress this. I know I just talked about this, but corporate cronyism, the stuff that we're seeing right now, this is not capitalism, right? The law allowing the government allowing a few partners that pay off corrupt government officials on a consistent basis to stand in the stead of government and to commit whatever anti-competitive crimes they want to commit. This is not capitalism, folks. Capitalism means anybody can enter any market. There are no unfair trade practices. Unfettered capitalism requires a level of morality. and the enforcement of laws and a fair and level playing field. We have let that go away. What we're seeing now is not capitalism. So that's something you've got to understand, and that we all need to remember when we're talking about what's happening here. So, all right. So let's talk about home ownership, right? And I want to talk about this because this is really a foundational thing. A lot of people are talking about it. And I'm going to show you guys something. You guys, so I live in a little town, Fremont, Ohio. Fremont, Ohio, there's neighborhoods. And at one point, I had a couple guys who gotten into some trouble. And I did a little construction company with them to, give them some work, and it seemed like a good idea. And we did a bunch of work, and we did some remodeling, and we did some work on some of these homes. And back in the day, there was a time where you could go to Sears and Roebuck. Y'all remember Sears? So Sears, you could go to Sears and Roebuck, and you could open their catalog, and you could buy a house. That's right. You could buy a house. This is before the internet, way before the internet. There was nothing that you literally could go to the catalog, flip through, what, I like that house, and buy a house, and it'd be shipped on a train, and you'd have a house. There it was as a kit, right? So this was a really interesting thing. Now, back in the days, you could buy these cheap houses, and they weren't. Certainly they were built, maybe a little cheaper than most houses of those days, but many of them are still standing. I mean, our whole town, Fremont, Ohio, has huge neighborhoods built from these Sears and Roebuck catalog houses, and they're quality. I mean, they're not perfect, but they're not bad. So back in the day, these houses, you could buy them for like $5,000, right? Like just a few $1,000s, you could buy a home. It'd be shipped to you. There was a 1928 Sears Martha Washington model, a kit home that originally cost $3,700. It'd show up by train. The floors, the plumbing, the nails, every board, everything seen. All you had to do was put it together like a Lego kit, right? And they're still standing. They haven't fallen down yet. They're still there. They have neat features, all sorts of things. Yeah, you had to put them together, but everything was there. Everything. Your plumbing, your wood, everything. Now, we've got affordable homes starting at around $400,000 in a lot of markets. Now, why is that? Why is it that we used to be able to ship a house on a train, you could put it together and you were golden? Now you can't. Well, let me ask you something. How would you do that now? Now you've got zoning laws. You've got no land available. Good luck, but you got to buy land. I mean, you have to get way out of the city to buy land, especially land you can do anything on. If you buy land, you want to build a house, I mean, you got permits, you got this, you got that, depends on where you're at. You may not even be allowed to build your own house. You may not even be allowed. If you were able to buy one of these Sears and Roebuck's, house kits right now, you probably wouldn't even be allowed to build it, because you've got, permitting requirements and this requirement and that requirement. You got all these requirements, right? So, I mean, the problem right now isn't that houses have to be this expensive. It's that we've allowed Wall Street to come in and BlackRock to buy neighborhoods and to buy property, and and then we put a couple of that with zoning rules and permitting rules and every other rule. I mean, it's not that you can't build houses for cheap. It's that our government won't let us. And what they're doing is they're regulating this for the big pharma guys. Now, I want to show you guys something. Let me find this. Okay. So this is, I want to show you this. This is a Sears and Roebuck's, it's a YouTube from Home and Garden TV. This is a Sears and Roebuck's house. This is one of those catalog houses. Let me show you this. Ben, can we put this on the screen? All right, here you go.
Home Diaries. Every house has a story.
We're the Burks.
And our house came from a Sears catalog.
Sears catalog.
It was built in
Doesn't look bad, does it?
1928.
You choose your home out of the catalog, and then
1928.
they send the kit.
Our house is the Martha Washington, which I love. It just screams all
Look at
American.
that.
It was the second most expensive home in the catalog at $3,700 and some odd change.
They send everything that it takes to finish your house. Plumbing, nails, paint, all the floors.
They used to be delivered on train and, everything was numbered and you basically just put this kit together. What I love the most about our house is the feel. It's not fancy in any means. It's just charming. I absolutely love my built-ins. Love the leaded glass.
Look at this.
The window seat. How many people have window seats anymore?
Look at, by the way, you see this? See this wood? See this real wood? Still 1928, still standing. This house isn't falling down, folks. $3,700, 1928.
More. The staircase. It's just smart building. I love the light in this room. I love all the French windows.
Nowadays we have air conditioning, but back in the day when they built this home, that was really important to be able to open those windows and let the air in.
This is so warm, so bright, so comfy. It's my spot.
Hey, Belle, how are you? Hi, Sammy.
One of the reasons we love this house is because of the neighborhood. 10 homes on the street are Sears homes. Yeah, this is a Sears home.
This is the Mitchell plan, built, we believe, in 1932.
We liked it at once. They're really solidly built.
This is a Sears home up here.
This house was built in 32. Norman Rockwell homes is probably a term that I would use.
There's a sense of pride that you have when you own the Sears home to try to keep that quality.
I love the American style Sears homes. There is that wonderful feeling of,
I think it's fantastic. It's a piece of American history.
Amen. Amen. There you have it, folks. In the 1920s, we were capable of figuring out what to do. We were able to, it isn't, folks, what's changed isn't magical. It's our government. It's overregulation. It's corporate greed. This isn't complicated. We can fix this. We can go back to the American dream. There's just no one willing to fight for it. Our corrupt Congress people won't do anything. President's been made basically impotent. I mean, no one's getting anything done. This could be fixed. We could have another Thanksgiving. We could reimagine the American dream. We just have to choose to do it. And we're not getting it done, folks. It's not happening. Now, a lot of the zoning and a lot of these regulations are local. It's fun. My friend General Flynn, he always says, local action. If you take control of your locality, you could do a lot to fix the zoning, fix the this, fix the that. And if you did that, well, you might be able to start making some changes. But you have a lot of state level zoning issues as well. The permitting issues and some of these other things. There's so many different things that are so badly done right now. But we don't have to. You see these beautiful homes. I mean, these are beautiful homes. $2,000, $3,000. Even with adjustment for inflation, there's nothing even close to that, right? It shouldn't even be close to this $400,000. You know what I'm going to do? You know what I'm going to do here, folks? We're going to do an experiment here. We're going to open up SuperGrok. And I'm going to do this real time. And we're going to say to SuperGrok, we're going to ask SuperGrok a question. Let's put this up on the screen, Ben, so that everybody can see what SuperGrok is doing. So we're going to say, hey, SuperGrok, okay. How much is, let's see, $3,700 in the 1920s worth today after inflation? Let's see what it says. Consumer price index. So let's see. So it would be so that if we had the same regulations and the same as our rules, we would say that according to Grok, that we would be looking at 65 to $70,000, right? I mean, 58, I guess, from 1920. So let's say 60 to 70,000, right? Let's say give or take. So why is it that $3,700 house, and you could see that house, right? That 3,700, 400 plus K right now. Good luck getting. I mean, a lot of places around the country, that's easily a $400,000 house, easily. Why? Why is that the case, guys? Why is that the case? It's not because they can't do it. It's not because it's impossible. I mean, where is that? Where is it at here? There it is. There it is. There's the house. Why is that house? Let's go back a little bit. Let's go back. Let's find there. Here we go.
And you basically just
There it is. Let me get that off. Look at that. Why is it that house is $400,000 today when it was, when adjusted for inflation, it should be in the mid-60s. It's not that it can't be. It's that we have regulated ourselves into oblivion, and we've done so intentionally. We need to learn what the Pilgrims learned. Socialism doesn't work. Overregulation doesn't work. Corporate cronyism can't work. We have got to get back to a moral, just, capitalist society where we do the right thing by people. The American dream isn't unreachable. The American dream has been shot down by corrupt bureaucrats and people who are too unwilling to represent what Americans actually want. This isn't even a matter of supply and demand. Listen, I understand we need to deal with illegal immigrants, right? We need them gone, whatever. That's not the problem. That's not the problem. You know, I don't know how much you guys travel, but I travel a lot. I have to for my work. When I fly from the East Coast to the West Coast, or from Ohio to wherever I'm going, and I look down from the plane, do you know what I see 90% of the time? Empty space. Forests, trees, land, not houses, not cities. A very small percentage of our country is occupied, very small. It's not a supply issue, folks. It's not, because we could supply houses for $60,000 to $70,000, and there'd still be profit. We could do that again. It's that our government doesn't want it. We could have cheap homes again. Our government doesn't want us to have cheap homes again. We could have an American dream again. Our government doesn't want the American dream because this isn't complicated. You simplify regulation, you get the government out of the way, and you make laws that prevent the Wall Street billionaires from raping the American public on a regular basis. This isn't complicated. We can fix our country. We can get to the golden age. We can get to the American dream, but we can't without our elected officials taking some steps that actually support America and making America great again and making America first. And taking the greed and the profit and the money that's being stolen from the American public out of the hands of the globalist billionaire elites and putting that back into the hands of real hardworking Americans. Unfortunately, there is no political will to do that at all. And so we're left with this mess we have. All right. I'm still thankful to live in this country. America is still the greatest country in history because at least we still have a chance of fighting it. God forbid that we live in Europe is so lost right now. And it could be worse. You could be China or North Korea or something like that. But, listen, we got a lot of work to do. All right, let's move into some other things here. I've got this video by Trump that I want to show, but I don't know if I'm gonna have time. I want to show something I want to get into this real quick first. So the failure by our DOJ to put James and Letitia James and Comey in jail was intentional. The statute of limitations is now run on James Comey, and we're never going to see him in jail because it was designed to fail. Pam Bondi didn't actually want Comey in jail. She wanted to, so she filed this garbage case. Now, let me show you this. Let me show you what's going on. This is political theater.
Indictments against former FBI Director James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James have been dismissed. Let's bring in former U.S. Attorney John Fishwick to discuss.
Yes, they have.
The judge said, as you know, John, the appointment of the U.S. Attorney was illegal, adding Lindsay Halligan
That's
was
true.
unlawfully appointed.
She
the
was.
administration is refuting that. In any case, the Trump administration can still appeal, which it says it.
The administration is refuting that Lindsay Halligan was illegally appointed. This is a load of crap, folks. This isn't a leftist ruling. Let me show you the law. Okay, so we've got the appointments clause. And the appointments clause says that the president gets to appoint these guys, but with advice and consent of the Senate, right? So we've got a law talking about these vacancies. And here's the key parts. If the president can't get approval from the Senate, which we can't because our Republicans will not take control of the Senate, despite the fact that they have control of the Senate. So the Republican rhinos undermine the president and won't appoint his people. They won't give their consent with the Senate. So the president can appoint people for 120 days, right? Well, the AG can. So Pam Bondi can appoint people for 120 days, right? Here's the law, 28 U.S.C. 546. Not complicated. The person appointed as a United States attorney under the section may serve 120 days, right? That's it. Not more than 120 days. After that, it's very clear. Person appointed as a United States attorney under this section may serve until the earlier of the expiration of 120 days after the appointment of Attorney General. And so that's the max. That's the max. It can't be more than that. It's clear as day. Then you go to Section D. If an appointment expires under Section C2, right here, 120 days, the district court for each district may appoint a U.S. attorney to serve until the vacancy is filled. The order of appointment by the court shall be filled by the clerk. Okay, so then after 120 days, the court appoints, right? So in this case, here's what you've got. You've got the Trump administration. Bondi had appointed this Eric Siebert. His 120 days were up. And then the Eastern District selected for him to continue. He quit, right? So when he quit, what does this law say? It doesn't say that the AG can reappoint. It doesn't say that everything starts over. It's very clear. You've got 120 days, then the court's in charge. This is as clear as day. Listen, the law is the law. You don't get to read the law like you want it to read. And Pam Bondi knows this. She knows that that's not the law. She knows exactly what it is. She's not, I get it, she's a bimbo, but she's not that stupid. I mean, I assume she can read. This is pretty clear. And don't get me wrong, I wish Trump could do what he wants. I'm sorry that the Republicans suck so bad that they won't do anything, but they don't. This was very clear. The Comey indictment was done because Trump's saying, hey, are you going to arrest anybody? And Bondi wanted to pretend like she was doing something. All Bondi's job is to drag her feet until after the midterms, to make Trump look bad until after the midterms. That was her job. That's what Susie Wiles hired her for. Come in here, pretend you're doing something until the midterms, and then after that, then you can do whatever. It doesn't matter. So that's what's happened. There's been no indictments. No one of substance has been arrested, and Trump doesn't see it. I don't know why. I don't know what his problem is. He just doesn't see it. But anyways, so Bondi knew this. This isn't complicated. The court didn't rule unfairly, and the idea that they're going to appeal this is absurd. But here we go.
It plans to do, right?
Let's put this guy back up. I can't say clown. Let's listen to this guy for a second.
Absolutely, Dee Dee. The DOJ will appeal to what's called the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals in Richmond. They'll do that probably right away.
For no reason.
Remember, whoever loses at the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals is likely to appeal to the Supreme Court. This is a case that they'll want to hear. This deals with separation of powers and the power of judges versus DOJ and whether Halligan was validly appointed or not. So this case is headed to the Supreme Court for both James and Comey.
Well, Comey was indicted, as you know, just days before the 5-year statute of limitations in his case expires, so timing was really critical. If the statute of limitation has expired, can they still file a second case? It sounds like you're saying yes.
They can. In fact, there's a catch-all law that protects DOJ in these circumstances. Once the appeals have run, even if the Supreme Court says the judge was correct in saying that Halligan was not validly appointed and the charges could be dismissed, there's a catch-all statute that will give DOJ 60 more days after the Supreme Court decision to re-indict Comey, and therefore it wouldn't be in violation of the statute of limitations. This saving statute will protect them in this situation, so the case would not be time-barred against Comey at all.
I think that's debatable, guys. I'm going to just tell you that's debatable. Comey's going to challenge that. It's not as definitive as this guy is making it. It really is not.
Are there any similar protections with regard to Letitia James's case? I mean, obviously very different, but to my knowledge, there was no statute of limitations with regard to the mortgage fraud charges here.
Yeah, Letitia James is basically piggybacking off the Comey case. There's no statute of limitations that's pending in her case. So the charges against her, they could go forward now and re-indict her. I expect, though, they're going to appeal this decision. DOJ is going to say that Halligan was validly appointed. But regardless, at the end of the line at the Supreme Court, I expect that they're going to re-indict James within 60 days of that Supreme Court decision.
All right, we'll wait and see. Thank you, as always, for your time. If I don't see you, happy Thanksgiving, former U.S. Attorney.
Okay. So, and he's not a dumb guy. He's not wrong. But here's the problem, guys. This is clear as day. They aren't going to win this at the SCOTUS. If an appointment expires under C2, the district court for such district may appoint the U.S. attorney to serve until its vacancy is filled. Until the vacancy is filled. Not until the president decides to reappoint someone new. Not until someone retires and he gets to do it again. There's no reset in this. Okay? There is no requirement that the court appoint whoever the president had picked. It says the court gets to pick, right? Now, they may have picked Siebert, and they may normally pick someone that the president had there, but that's not a requirement. Lindsay Halligan, who I have no problem with Lindsay Halligan, I wish her the best, but she was not legally put in there. Congress made sure the Republicans and the rhinos have successfully undermined Trump. They successfully made sure that he has no, a lot of his people are not appointed. And so, I mean, they're just not. It's the law. And I'm sorry. I want Trump to be able to do this. I want Comey in jail. But he got rope-a-doped. Pam Bondi tricked him. She told everybody she was going to do her job, and she did this. And I don't think they're going to be able to refile against Comey. I don't think it's going to work. Even if they've got someone new in place by then, which I don't know if they will. I think this was by design, folks. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. There's nothing about it. This is appalling and another game by our DOJ. Like I said, the Wiles Bondi, I don't know, unholy alliance and their desire to undermine Trump is working just incredibly well, and it continues to move forward.
Welcome to Flyover Conservative Podcast with David and Stacey Whited, where we break down current events and examine culture through the lens of conservative Christian values. Last Monday, I did an interview that has stirred up a lot in the Flyover family. We're getting texts, we're getting emails. People are so excited about this interview. We wanted to pop back on today with the person that created, designed it, and the expert behind it to kind of go through some questions as well as some deals that they have going on right now. Welcome to the show, the creator of Wave Watch, Linda Bamber Olsen. Yay!
Thank you. Thank you for having me on again. It's really exciting to work with you. You're just right in my community. How could it get any better?
Yeah.
I know.
We're using the Wave Watch. The Chiefs are winning. Like all kinds of good things are going on. I don't know if Patrick Mahomes was wearing one this weekend, but it certainly showed. And,
He needs to be.
They need to be.
It.
And it helped.
Yes.
We want to do this almost like a public service announcement because of the urgency of you have Black Friday specials going on. You have a promo code with Flyover. People get the combination of everything all at once. People that have already been purchasing them get the benefit of that, but people are on the fence through this weekend. There's kind of the benefit of all of these things. We just want to clarify kind of the checkout process and how that all works. But Stacy has been kind of on a tear here. We can always tell when a show hits really well too because we get texts from family.
Yes.
We have aunts, cousins, sisters, relatives, people like that. Like, oh my gosh, reaching out to us. But Stacy had a pretty major breakthrough in her life this weekend because of it.
I did. Okay, so for the Flyover family, in 2014 or 2015, I had problems with my gallbladder, and I was in a lot of pain at the time. And went in, I found out there was some sludge in there, and just it was not good. I was in a lot of pain for quite a while. So what I did is I didn't want to have my gallbladder removed. So I took fat out of my diet. We're talking the littlest amount of fat as I possibly could have in my diet for about a 2-year period of time. Well, that was really hard on my body. In fact, even cognitive stuff, I had issues with that after I did that. I felt like it really aged me. It wasn't good, but I didn't have a lot of problems with my gallbladder until April of this year, 2025. And I started having some problems again. I'm like, well, I don't want to do the fat thing again, because it took care of the problem, but there was definitely some side effects from what I did that I do not want to have again. So what do? Well, yesterday I was actually in a lot of pain. Went to church in the morning and just a lot of pain in my stomach, even in my back. And so I thought, I wonder if there's something on the watch that actually happens with it. So I start scrolling through it, find organs, and gallbladder was on my watch. I started it within 15 minutes. This was in the evening yesterday. Within 15 minutes, the pain completely disappeared. I was like, this is amazing. And it hasn't come back. So I really am excited about that. But for people that maybe don't know how to find out about the frequencies and how this watch actually works, there is a frequency finder. You can actually go to support on wavewatch.com, scroll down, you're going to find a frequency finder, and you can actually type in your questions of what you are concerned about, and it will tell you exactly how to find something that can possibly help you with whatever your concerns are. So, Linda, talk a little bit about that, because this is amazing technology.
Well, they put a lot of work into doing it, and we really wanted to show you, showcase all of the ideas that are on the Wave Watch, but some of those can't be individualized or, as specific as we'd like them to. But by finding and using the frequency finder, then you can be a little bit more specific. So if you want to know if there's, a frequency for E. coli, you can check it. Use that frequency finder and see what it has to say, or if it has that frequency tucked into a different folder somewhere. So you can use it with all kinds of different ideas.
Let's say that somebody missed Monday's show. We'll make sure we put it in the notes so you guys can see it. Linda did such a great job. She has a teaching background, so she did an amazing job of talking about the Wave Watch and how it works and why these frequencies are so important. But let's say somebody hasn't heard anything about it. Can you just do a brief description about frequencies, what they do in the body, and why this technology is working so well?
I think you might read something from Dr. Ardis later that actually tells it really, really specifically. But what I like to say to people is that we have specific, cells all over our body. And when we are putting a frequency into your body through the back of the watch on the speaker, that there are 70 receptors in every cell, and they start to vibrate. And then that makes the next cell vibrate, and the next cell, and then it literally zips through your body faster than the speed of sound, changing, realigning, many types of words like that. I'm not making any claims for cure. I'm just saying rebalancing and changing your body in some manner. There's a frequency for everything. They have measured it. And just like you're showing it, the basic start of healing frequencies was from Tesla. And then it went on and continued with Dr. Royal Raymond Rife, who is known as the father of frequencies. And so these are over 100 years old. So I love the fact that I can say something that might be a conspiracy sounding idea. Yeah. We could have been using these for 100 years, but no, frequencies were deemed illegal to use, and they were taken out of our ability to use, away from that. So the medical community didn't go towards something that was natural. They went more towards pills because that natural healing idea was removed from our ability to use through the medical association.
We've done a lot of shows in the past and, delved into some of these ideas, like some of these pictures Colton has here, where you have the black metal slide and they'll vibrate at different frequencies with sand on it. And it makes immediate, patterns with it. And it's like, man, things respond to sound, and, water does specifically. We're mostly made of water. And people are kind of realizing, man, there's a lot of technologies that have been infiltrated into our world, from sounds, the frequency of news programs, the kind of lighting, the colors of lighting, screens. There's all of these things that are infiltrated into our world in such a short period of time. And there's this wider range of ailments that people have never even heard of that are now commonplace and we reference. And so all of this is happening at once. I feel like this is a technology that can kind of put us back on the winning side and be able to use this technology to heal ourselves. I want to read the Brian Ardis quote. Every single cell in our body vibrates with different frequencies, and those frequencies dictate the health of those cells. I use WaveWatch to play anxiety, stress, calming, relaxation. I want to keep myself calm and non-reactive as I'm researching. And I think it's an incredible technology. I started using mine probably this is within a week since last week, and been using it for sleep primarily. And so I put it on when I go to bed, and I just put it on for the number of hours that I'm going to be sleeping, and it just kind of plays there quietly. And I think it has helped dramatically me staying in a lower level of activity and getting a deeper sleep, through the night. So that begins all kinds of other healing things within your body when you're getting, the right amount of sleep. People that have watched our show know that's something I've kind of struggled with going back to even grade school in my life, struggling, going to sleep, staying asleep, throughout the night. So all of these things kind of put us back in the driver's seat of getting as healthy as we possibly can without the downsides of pharmaceutical drugs.
That is exactly right.
I definitely think so. And, it's right on your wrist. So some people call it a Rife machine on your wrist, and some of your audience may be, aware of that particular idea. But whatever they like and know about frequencies, what most people appreciate the most is its wearability. And, you could wear it at night. You can share it with your neighbor. You can, your dog can use it if you need to. So it is a very versatile tool.
I absolutely love that. Okay, so I want to actually talk about it. If we go to the site and look at wavewatch.com, when you go there, there is a Black Friday special going on. And so on top of that special, though, you do get some more off when you buy the 2.0. So can you talk about the two different watches? You have a 2.2 that actually is on pre-order currently, and then a 2.0. The 2.2, when you use the promo code FLYOVER, you get the 15% off. 2.0, you get the discount for Black Friday and another discount for using the promo code.
And that's what we have as the 2.0.
That's what we have as 2.0. But talk about the 2.2 and what's the difference between the two?
Well, every time you order a new supply, you use one supply up, you order new, you try to improve it. So the 2.2 is just a little bit of a jump up. It's not a completely different one by any means. It just has a few more frequencies on it. And most of these frequencies are related to good energy. If anybody's read Dr. Casey Means' book, Good Energy, then basically a lot of those ideas are out of there, what she tells us that we need to do. So we have mitochondrial support, the list is endless for those kind of ideas. So there's a whole category for just increasing our energy. And so many people need that. We have frequencies for the vagus nerve that are a little bit more easy to find. They were previously in there, the 2.2 watch, but they're just now, again, easier to find for you. Hey, thanks for showing that particular one. So anyway, we used a lot of her information, to just build a frequency set for that particular idea. So that's the main one in the new watch. And then it does have a couple of updates that you can do a little bit more scrolling. It's easier to use, and it's a little bit more waterproof. So every time they figure out something a little bit better that they can do to improve it. But you are not losing anything by buying the 2.0. It is definitely a winner and has over 1,100 different frequency ideas within about 146 different frequency folders.
That is, and so easy to use. I want the Flyover family to know it is so easy to use. I love this watch. You can just scroll, find out exactly what you're looking for. Again, if you're not sure and you're like, I have a condition, but I don't know what I need to be looking at, you can just go to support, and then from there, frequency finder. But you also, they can contact you as well through support. You have call or text, and you have the Monday through Friday 9 to 5. So all of that information there as well. So if you're not getting the results that you want, or you're like, hey, I don't even know exactly how to use this, they are available. And I am so excited about your company. You guys are so professional. I'm now receiving the Facebook ads for WaveWatch, and I just wanted to actually throw up a couple of pictures here because when somebody asks questions, you guys respond to every one of the
Very
questions
proactive.
that came in and gave, advice to, hey, try this, try that. And again, I love it. You talked about frequency finder, but you also talked about how you can contact customer support, that you are there to help in any way that you guys possibly can. So I could not be more impressed, Linda, with your company and what you all are doing.
And your follow-up after the fact, that's the thing that's most impressive. It's one thing to, offer product and have it available. It's another thing where you're standing behind it, working with people to get their breakthrough on their health challenge. And somebody might buy it. Maybe they have it for 6-7 months and develop a new thing, or they got a family member. You can share the watch within your family, have someone else use it if they're having, something that you didn't even, initially buy it for.
Yes. And I just want to thank you for complimenting the sales or the, customer support team. I hope they're listening, or I'll direct them so they know how much you appreciate it, because they do work hard, and it really is nice to hear that compliment from them. So lots of things that you can do, and the customer support are all WaveWatch users. That's how they got involved with it. They bought a WaveWatch first usually, and then they'd call up and say, hey, can I work with you?
Wow.
So they're all WaveWatch users and lovers. So
I love it. Well, before we let you go, one thing I just always like hearing from you is just testimonies. Can you share one of your favorite testimonies of the WaveWatch and how it's helped someone?
Well, I don't know if I can repeat this well enough, but I have somebody in my office right now who came from New Mexico because they saw me on Dr. Ardis, I believe they said. And they came and are working and have WaveWatches, and they bought a WaveWatch for their friend who was definitely having trouble. So again, that's the whole holiday sharing idea, is like, if you have a friend that is in pain or needs some help, then that's what the idea is for. And they would not buy one for a friend if they hadn't had good luck with it. I'm not sure I can tell you all of the success that they did have, but they were just letting me know several different ideas that was really good. And then at the same time that they were here, our door opened again, the front door, somebody comes in, and it's a young man, really nice to have a young man come in, and he's got the WaveWatch on. He's holding up his hand. He says, who's, and I talked to him a little bit. He goes, I just have to tell you how many things this has helped. And he just kept saying, thing after thing that it helped him with. And when it's a younger person, you don't really appreciate sometimes what they go through in our life. It's quite a bit different than a senior like I am, who has more aches and pains, where some of the younger people are more anxiety and things like that. Now, again, I don't have it where I can rattle off his testimony or anything. He's sending it to me and going to be giving it to me. But just right now, 2 people, actually a couple, so 3 people are letting me know that they love the WaveWatch.
Just while you're there at the office today, that's pretty amazing. Right. Can you talk about the the HSA and the FSA funds and how that works?
Yes, I haven't applied for it myself, so I haven't clicked every single button. But we work with a company, and they are able to, get your information and verify it, and put all the information in that they need to let you be able to use your HSA or FSA funds. So they are able to verify. So there's a medical connectivity with that, so that is available. So I believe I've heard that takes off possibly another 30%. It does reduce the cost of it again. So that's helpful too.
I also saw somewhere on your website, I can't remember where it was, but for, I believe, people in education, first responders, military, there's even a discount for that as well.
Yes, we try to do that. We try to bless people because we've been blessed. We're a lot healthier because we have something on our wrist, that's so easy to use. And so we do have, I believe, a 10% discount for that. Now, I'm not sure how all the discounts stack up for Black Friday. I will apologize in advance. I am no longer setting sales. I have a staff that does that.
Look at you.
That's awesome.
So I can't say that I know everything that they have, put behind the scenes, but they some things will stack and some things will not. Let's put it that way.
That makes sense.
Flyover
That's
family,
very
go to
fair.
wavewatch.com, go /flyover. It's WAV, then watch. WAVwatch.com /flyover. Use promo code flyover at any point in the checkout process, and you'll get the maximum discounts. You get the Black Friday special, so urgency on that for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I believe it goes through the entire weekend. Enter promo code flyover to maximize your discounts. Depending on which watch you get, there's a little bit of variability there, but stack these things together. Take advantage of this opportunity. If you ever thought about getting one, I think they even have pay over time options. There's lots of different things available on there, but go to WAVwatch.com /flyover, and they'll get you connected. And whatever your ailment is, put it in there. Get some results. Let us know how it's working for you.
Thanks again, Linda, for your time. We really appreciate it.
I'm Linda Bamber Olson, the inventor of the Wave Watch, the world's first frequency therapy watch. It features over 1,100 targeted frequencies. These sounds are acoustical and they move through your body. You don't necessarily have to hear it. So that's why we have so many testimonies for ADD and ADHD, emotions, headaches, joints, and so many more.
Everyone is talking about this.
The one thing that's very important part of my portfolio all these years is gold.
As gold hit all-time highs already this year.
And get a free info kit on gold today.
It's called silver. Gold coin.
And though we are thrilled that everyone is talking about investing in precious metals, a lot of these 1-800 numbers will make you feel like just another transaction. That's why it's crucial to work with a person, not a faceless institution, when it comes to your finances. You deserve to be treated like family, not just another number. Dr. Kirk Elliott, who we've known for over 25 years, he doesn't just sell gold and silver. He offers trust, care, and a personal touch that an impersonal institution could never match. So when it comes to securing your financial future, don't just call a company, call a person. Call Dr. Kirk Elliott at 720-605-3900 or visit flyovergold.com to learn more.
What you doing there, Mom?
Well, Wesley and I got all in the Christmas spirit after decorating, and we decided to make a naughty and nice list. And I have to say, Avery, you're doing quite well.
Really?
So we're trying to decide who all we're going to buy MyPillow stuff for Christmas. You know, if you use promo code FLYOVER, you get up to 66% off when you go to MyPillow.com.
That's a great deal.
Can't beat it.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
Promo code FLYOVER. We have never been tied into a global economy more than ever. And it seems like, you could be sitting here in Lee Summit, Missouri, but like what's happening in Japan kind of makes a big difference. What we're doing in trade and tariffs and, things that are happening around the world impact us locally more than ever. That's why each and every week we talk to the author of Thriving in the Economic Tsunami, a guy that has not one, but 2 PhDs, Dr. Kirk Elliott. Welcome.
Thanks. It's good to be with you.
It's really good to see you. I want to thank you as we jump into this week because this content, I've talked to 2 or 3 listeners in the last week, via text and on the phone as well, that have been using the PDF version of this. People can get it at flyovergold.com. You just enter your phone number, email. You can set up a consultation, talk to Dr. Kirk and his team if you would like to. But making this available for free has been such good seed for our listeners. It's something that, you wrote, is available in physical form. People can still buy that as well. But having it available and just like giving that out, that wisdom is spreading and people are reframing the way they're thinking about money, the way they think about currency, the way they think about wealth. People are starting to get over this idea of, it seems like silver's rising, or it seems like gold is rising, or it seems like these other assets are rising. And they're really understanding, and COVID helped this a little bit, but the government printing trillions of dollars just, it changes the metric and even the framework, you have of like how much something costs, how much is a dinner at Arby's, how much is a house, how much are a set of tires in your car. It seems like all these things are all getting so expensive. It's like, no, just the dollars, going worth less so fast. And so they're like, I can actually protect myself from that. So people are starting to understand what's happening around them and how they can actually judo move that into a win. So we really appreciate that.
Of course, it's my pleasure. And we're entering into some really uncharted territory that we haven't seen in America since late 80s, in the sense of we've talked about this before, but Japan being the stimulus for the global economy with 0% interest rate policy literally for decades. So real quick for all your new viewers, because I know that you've got a lot of them, Japan wanted to keep 0 interest rates. It's like, why would anybody want to invest in a bond that's paying 0%, right? It wasn't for the yield. It was so they could buy the yen at 0, then automatically, same day, in an arbitrage opportunity, it's like, okay, we're taking all this yen that we just bought at 0% interest, right? And we're going to put it into the euro, or we're going to put it into the dollar, which is maybe paying 3%. Well, if you're borrowing at 0, getting 3%, you're making 3% on a risk-free transaction. Now imagine if you're a government doing this, and you're doing it by the billions or tens of billions of dollars at a time. Right. So this is what kept the Japanese economy afloat. But that borrowing for free, which is the yen carry trade, basically for layman's terms, viewed as the yen is carrying the global economy on its back. It's financing all the stimulus, everything that we're seeing in countries all over the world. That's over. Because at some point, and this is a principle that we've talked about a lot, it's like, you got to pay the piper. You can't live on other people's money forever. Ultimately, they had to print to satisfy this demand. Well, now the world is flooded with yen and they've got this massive inflation. They're forced to raise rates. Right? We've talked about this. It's like when you have too much inflation, you raise interest rates to slow down the economy. I mean, this is what they're having to do. So now in Japan, the yield on the yen has gone from 0.2%, I think, to 3.75 in the last year. I mean, that's incredible, right? But what does that mean? For Japan, it's like, wait a second, this is close enough to the US dollar's yield that let's just dump our dollars and invest into our own currency and try to goose that, right? So they're going to dump the US dollar. It's going to flood the market with dollars. It'll impact the dollar greatly. But now there's no more yen carry trade for the rest of the countries of the world. I'm expecting a big, like really big market sell-off, right? I think when the global financing arm for all the growth that we've experience thinking, this isn't Biden's economy that's been growing America, right? The people aren't working. It was stimulus money. And a lot of that came from Japan. That's over, right? So I'm expecting a big economic correction globally, right? And so here's the problem that we see moving forward. And when you look at voters, we've got the next presidential election is in what, 2028?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. By the year 2028, and I'm making a broad-based view here, right? It's not everybody, obviously, because your listeners are amazing. But Generation Z, which is people that were born from 1997 and newer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the millennials, what is that population, right? So Generation Z and millennials will be 65% of the voting public in 2028.
Wow.
These Generation Z people are the ones that are marching, they're protesting. It's mostly them. Sometimes they don't even know what they're fighting for. They came of age after the Great Recession in 2009, 2010. They haven't experienced really a big correction, an economic downturn. All they've experienced was, oh, we had COVID, things shut down, but we got stimulus money, right? That's the world that they live in, which is, if you can't make ends meet, don't worry, the government's going to take care of you.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be 65% of the voting public by 2028. So it's like, where's the country headed? You know, Stacey, right before we did the show, like we always do, we pray, and you prayed for wisdom for this generation and for future generations, right? To make wise decisions. Yep. Boy, we're going to need that more than ever. And I'm not painting this picture that every single Gen Z and millennial is going to make a bad decision. Obviously, that's not the case. I might be a millennial. I don't even know. I don't know what that age band is, right? But no, I'm a Gen X.
Gen X.
I'm too old. I'm Gen X.
So are we.
So my kids would be millennials, and then you've got the younger. So anyways, it's that age group where, boy, when you've got good upbringing, when you understand hard work, when you understand that nothing should be handed to you on a silver platter, they're going to make wise decisions. But you've got so many that are indoctrinated into our college system, right? Where it's like, that's stimulus money. You don't like something, we'll just protest, right? We won't actually work because of it, blah, blah, blah. I mean, this is the problem moving forward, is a large percentage of that population are going to be the voters. And we are going to experience, I think, something globally that's worse in 2009 as a market correction. The Japanese yen carry trade is toast. It's done. There is no more global financing to bail countries out anymore. This is going to be crazy, crazy. So in the midst of all of that, there's two big positives that we can take out of that. Number one, things go up with inflation, right? That's what inflation is. It's like everything you buy is more expensive. Okay. So invest in tangible assets because they will go up with inflation. What tangible assets do good when people start to lose faith and trust and confidence in their banks and in the government? Gold and silver do. So as people start to lose faith in the systems that basically have been created over the last 100 years, and you have inflation, it's like boom, boom, two in a row, double whammy. It's like, this is where we should allocate and invest so we can grow safely, right? Our goal isn't to hit a home run and invest in some kind of a cryptocurrency meme coin that you don't know anything about and expect it, or the dinar or something like that, right? That you think, oh, this is going to go through the roof and I can invest $1,000 and it's going to be worth $1 million. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you invest into safety that the world is going to need. Not only are you going to get safety, you're going to get growth. I mean, look at what's been occurring over the last couple of years. Silver's up 80% this year alone. Gold's up like almost 60% this year alone. Because a lot of these fundamental trends. But what I want to look at is that chart that you just had on the screen, this cup and handle formation. It's like, okay, this is where we've been. You know, you look back in that cup, that's a 45-year cycle. I mean, that goes back 45 years, right? So the way that on a technical chart, you're going to look at it, you follow the bottoms, you follow the tops, and you draw these straight lines, and it's an ascending triangle, right? So this chart that took 45 years to complete, at 55 to 57, we've ended the cup formation. And then after that, you go into this handle, which is like the Big Dipper. View the Big Dipper up in the sky, right? It's got this big cup, and then the handle just shoots off. So I've been saying with you guys, you know, I think silver is probably going to hit 120 to 140 by late spring, early summer, based on the fundamentals and the growth and the momentum, and London running out of silver, lease rates going sky high, everything happening in Japan, the wars and the rumors of wars, the industrial demand, all of that, right? Now, this chart, this analyst thinks, once we get into this handle, what does he say? $300 an ounce silver. It's like, okay, I'm very comfortable in the low 100s with a forecast, right? And when now there's other people saying 300, it could be 50% wrong and be where I'm thinking that I've talked about for a couple of years where I think we're going to get to, right? So, but never just take one chart and never take one opinion for it. Let's look at another one, you know, so.
Can I ask you a real question on that? Sorry, I just want to make sure I understand it, because I remember you talking about this, man, it may have been a year or two ago, talking about cup and handle. I've seen this, a chart similar to this before. But can you explain, so is this a trend that has happened over history, that like there's a 45-year period of time, and then the handle, that's the, what is that, like a 10-year period of time or something? 20-year period of time?
In this case, yes. I mean, you can have, most cup and handle formations are much shorter.
Okay.
Right. The fact that this is a 45-year in the making formation is almost unheard of. Right. I mean, that's a long formation, which means, you know, the old adage, the bigger they are, the harder they fall kind of thing. It's like the longer this took to build this base, the higher the end result is ultimately going to be. Now we've got some really interesting market dynamics. It's like over that, so 45 years ago, what did we have? Electric vehicles?
No.
Did we have batteries, you know, solid silver core batteries?
No.
That
Very few
fuel
iPhones.
electric vehicles?
Nope.
No. Solar power wasn't really a big thing. iPhones, AI chips, not even a twinkle in somebody's thoughts, right? Or cryptocurrency mining. I mean, all of this stuff uses silver. So now you've got the end of this formation plus a lot of these fundamental forces that are going to cause its growth. It's like the best of both worlds. You've got technicals and fundamentals marrying and coming to this, right? So if you ever see a cup and handle formation in any market, whether it's stocks or bonds or real estate or whatever, just know that at some point you break out above a resistance line and it tends to go up, and it go up a lot, right? So this is just that was a great question though, because they're not all, it's not like a 45-year cycle and then the handle is 10 years. It's like, it's just kind of what is happening in this silver market.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically it started around 1973, what they're tracking here with the cup there. And then the handle basically started in, 2007 or 8?
Yeah.
And then what is the last little handle there? Is that, because it looks like another handle is starting in this year, is it 2025? And then where it's going in, towards the future, like 2033, something like that?
Yeah. So those have a big dip, a little one, and then from that little one the handle goes through the ceiling, right?
Okay.
So it just looks like a big ladle. right?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. And that's what it's supposed to look like. That is a very, very
healthy?
tested, healthy.
Okay.
I mean, it just tells you, well, it's not healthy if you have a short position.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. But if you're allocating for growth and allocating for safety, it's like, I can't think of a better time.
It almost seems like there's gravitational pull towards all things real, like the moon affects the tides. Like you can't stop it; the tide just rises.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's unstoppable. You know, kind of movement coming out of such a world of fake. You know, during the Biden presidency, everything in the world was fake. It's like, oh, jobs numbers, they were all government jobs. Oh, there's money in the economy. Oh, it's all printed money. You know, there wasn't anything substantial or real, and there's this move towards, you know, real in this space where people want something they can touch because everything else seems to be kind of cotton candy and dissipating in the sun.
Yeah. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. So let's add another story to this picture, right? So there's another analyst who's I think we have a short video from him. And what is he talking about? He's talking about silver hitting 71. Not in 5 years, but like literally on this next move. It's like, wait a second. I've been saying silver 67 to 75 by the end of this year for a long time.
Yep.
Okay. Now in concert with that, right? So, but once you hit 71, here's where he starts to match his interpretation with a cup and handle formation. It's like, once you hit 71, what kicks in? Fear of missing out, right? You've got people are saying, wow, I wish I would have. I should have. I was thinking about this when it was $25 an ounce. I hear that every single day, right? It's like, it's not too late, right? But by that point, you're going to see massive growth, and there is going to be a real, legitimate fear of missing out market mentality, and people are going to flock into it. And that's going to cause it to go from 71 up to these much higher levels because people want to hit a home run. People want to make sure that their retirement is good. And oftentimes when something they fear that they've missed it because they thought about acting on it a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, and they didn't, it's like, let's just take our final shot, right? Let's just try to get this done. This is normal market activity where the masses get in at the end. When that starts happening, what do we know? That this is a speculative blow-off. It's like the last phase of a bull market cycle, and we're getting ready to sell, right? We're going to get ready to sell into that strength when the masses of the world are getting into it. Not at the beginning of them getting into it. We're going to let it ride up, right? But at some point, when that starts to peter out and that growth starts to slow down, that's when we're going to sell. So that's like what's going to cause a ratio trade move like we've talked about, right? This is, our goal is to not be in silver because I think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. Nope. It's the greatest thing for right now because of the demand, right? Ultimately, any goal of any wise and prudent investor should be buy low and sell high. Let's lock in our profits. I don't want to be emotionally attached to any investment ever because if you are, it ceases to become an investment and it becomes a collectible, right?
Well, yes.
If you get emotionally attached and you don't want to sell it, it's like, well, then it's no longer an investment. Call it for what it is. Ultimately, we will sell our silver. Just because I love it right now doesn't mean I always will. There's going to be a time to lock in our profits and get out and probably roll into gold. And after that, who knows what? We don't know what the world is going to look like a few years from now. Do we stay in metals? Do you go into crypto? Do you go into bonds? Do you know what does it look like? We don't know. We don't know. All that we know is when the time is right, we will know. And it's going to be pretty obvious. But to have an amazing future, you have to have an amazing current. That's where silver is placed in everybody's portfolio right now. The best investment by far, given the world's dynamics, low supply, high demand, political instability, geopolitical conflict, economic recession. This is what causes silver to do really, really well.
It's huge.
Which that's why it's important to be buying, bullion silver and not. I talked to somebody just this last week who was purchasing and did it during one purchase, but got, some numismatic, coins with a collectible value, but was paying over $100 an ounce a year ago. And I said, it's just ounces for dollar. That's why, if we've had a almost 30-year relationship, with you, but if I wasn't talking to you about this, we wouldn't have anybody else on this show for it, because it's not in people's best interest. Can you just hit real quick and like a little 30-second snap the difference between bullion and other things, that are out there, and why that is the move and the only thing that you offer?
Bullion, we don't have to make a market for it. I don't sell it out of my own inventory. It's a global commodity used for manufacturing. It's cheap, low cost bars, generic refinery rounds, something like that, right? So when it's time to liquidate, I literally press a button and it goes onto the exchange, right? It goes back to the depository. It's used for manufacturing around the world. If you're buying rare commemorative things with Patriots pictures on them, or something that's not normal, or a Canadian wildlife coin, or an Australian sea life something or other, and it's like, these are things that companies just make up to have a smaller population of those metals that they can sell for a higher price. Here's a problem: they might be the only firm offering them, right? So when it's time to sell, they're selling out of their own inventory. If they don't have enough buyers, which, think about it, in the end, most of these firms don't educate their client base very well, and they're just going to want to lock in profits. They're not going to see, hey, let's hold this until we can really lock in a profit. They're selling now, right? Because silver's, approached its all-time high. They're getting out. If you don't have enough purchases, you can't actually offset your liquidations. Companies run out of money and they suspend any buying back of the metals. I've seen this 3 times over the last week. Companies say, we're not buying back right now. We're not buying back. It's like, well, what? You sure sold it to the client easily enough, right, but now you're not going to buy it back? Here's a very sad story. So a client of mine had bought metals from another competitor, a bunch of rare coins, a year ago. And it was all gold. It was all collectible gold. And she told the salesperson at this other firm, I've got 2 single moms as my daughters with a grandkid. We want to buy a homestead 1 year from now. I want to take advantage of the gold and silver price so we can pay for a home. So what did they do? They put her into rare coins, which is the stupidest thing. So gold is up 60%. She invested $230,000. She called them last week to liquidate. They offered her $189,000. It's like, wait a second.
No.
She actually lost
silver's gone up
$40,000, and well, this was in gold.
Too.
And gold was up 60%.
Yeah.
Gold was up 60%. She lost about 13%. That's a 73% spread. And they basically said, well, you should not sell it right now. She said, I need to. I told you we were going to buy a house. Anyways, this is kind of the sick, disgusting behavior that we see from some of these companies, that all they care about is profit, selling the highest commission junk. Literally, it's junk. I don't care if it's gold. I don't care if it's silver. If gold goes up 60% and you sell it and you lose money, that's garbage. You would have been better off not even purchasing it, even though gold went up 60%. It just, nothing ruffles my feathers more than that, because this is people's hard-earned retirements that they've worked their whole life for, and you've got shady people selling them garbage that's overpriced that they can't get rid of. It's awful to me. This is awful.
And what a lot of these people will say is like, oh, we're going to diversify this. We're going to put a little bit into this and a little bit into bullion, this kind of an idea. And when you go to sell it, the only thing that matters is how many ounces do you have? Yeah. And I mean, period. It's just ounces. And so that's why, I love working with you, because people are protected. There's no commission when you sell. All of that write-up is. And so if people want to take a percentage and, build a new deck on their house next spring, they can do that in, 24 to 48 hours. They have that money in their account and they can be able to do it. You're never stuck with something that you have to go out and create a market for. So that's we sleep at night.
I know we're almost out of time, but I do know that people are watching thinking, hey, you said there was going to be a quick video. I do want to show that because it's not just Dr. Kirk that's talking about what's getting ready to happen with silver. There are other experts that are saying the same thing, and it backs up what you've been saying now for quite a while. So let's watch that video real fast.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah, silver still has a really strong price chart. We could look at the most recent kind of pause and pullback, and it is pointing to a fairly significant move. The next kind of measured move is up to around $63 an ounce from where that is. It's consolidating like gold. It's just more volatile. It's a smaller market, moves faster, but there's potential for a fairly explosive 27%. I do think it could go even higher than that, depending on how you want to draw some of these levels. Like, this is the most conservative approach. The most aggressive one based on the charts would be right around here, which is kind of around 71. And of course, if we do get into this feeding frenzy and it starts to get up there, this is where we go into these blow off top phases where it hits 71 and it can just spike and blow right on through it up into the 80s, because it'll be a big wave of FOMO of everyone piling in right near the peak, and it just, price goes straight up.
Pretty cool, because that just backs up what you've been saying now for a long time. And this whole thought of, is it too late? Is it too late for me to actually get into silver? No, this is a really great time for you to do it. It sounds like from what Dr. Kirk says, but also what other people are saying as well.
What other people are saying, see, the one things we've been looking at, charts, technical. I talk about fundamentals, what causes the charts to look like the charts. All of those are in concert together. Now, a lot of your audience listens to your prophetic show. Mm-hmm. So here's where the fundamentals of the markets are corresponding with the technicals of the markets, which are corresponding to what a lot of the prophets are saying about the markets. It's like, that is the trifecta.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't know how much confidence somebody could get in making a decision, right? It's like, this is an amazing time to be alive, and we'd love to do that journey with you and navigate through it with you.
It's very simple, Flyover family. All you do is go to flyovergold.com. There's a place you can fill out your information. You can also get the book, Thriving in Economic Tsunami, when you do that. But you can also, at that time, set up a free consultation. When you do that, bring all the questions that you have. What are the things that you've been curious about, that you've been wondering about? Dr. Kirk's team will help you to walk through that process. Then you can hang up the phone, make wise decisions for your family. Again, you just go to flyovergold.com, fill out your information to set up that free consultation, or you can call 720-605-3900. Again, that's 720-605-3900 to set up a free consultation. Do it today. This is the best time. You will be so excited that you did. Thanks again, Dr. Kirk, for your time. We really appreciate it.
Everyone is talking about this.
The one thing that's very important part of my portfolio all these years is gold.
Has gold hit all-time highs already this year?
And get a free info kit on gold today.
It's called silver.
Gold coin.
And though we are thrilled that everyone is talking about investing in precious metals, a lot of these 1-800 numbers will make you feel like just another transaction. That's why it's crucial to work with a person, not a faceless institution, when it comes to your finances. You deserve to be treated like family, not just another number. Dr. Kirk Elliott, who we've known for over 25 years, he doesn't just sell gold and silver. He offers trust, care, and a personal touch that an impersonal institution could never match. So when it comes to securing your financial future, don't just call a company, call a person. Call Dr. Kirk Elliott at 720-605-3900 or visit flyovergold.com to learn more.
I'm Linda Bamber Olson, the inventor of the Wave Watch, the world's first frequency therapy watch. It features over 1,100 targeted frequencies. These sounds are acoustical and they move through your body. You don't necessarily have to hear it. So that's why we have so many testimonies for ADD and ADHD, emotions, headaches, joints, and so many more.
there, Mom?
Well, Wesley and I got all in the Christmas spirit after decorating, and we decided to make a naughty and nice list. And I have to say, Avery, you're doing quite well.
Really?
So we're trying to decide who all we're going to buy MyPillow stuff for Christmas. You know, if you use promo code FLYOVER, you get up to 66% off when you go to MyPillow.com.
That's a great deal.
Can't beat it.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
Promo code FLYOVER.
Okay, Aaron Antis, guess who's joining us for the December 4th and 5th, 2025 Thrive Time Show Business Growth Workshop? Whoa.
Ooh, Santa Claus?
No, we will not be joined by Santa Claus, but we will be joined by Eric Trump, the son of the 45th and now 47th President of these United States. And yes, Amanda Grace will be in the place. And yes, Dr. Stella Manuel will be there, so you know it will go well. Yes, we have Mel K in the house. Pastor Phil and Tammy Hotzenpiller will be hosting this event at their beautiful church right there in sunny Anaheim, California. Yes, folks, make this a December to remember. Make this a December to remember and join us at the 2-day interactive business growth workshops. For over 20 years, folks, I've been hosting business growth workshops where we're going to teach you marketing, sales systems, human resources, accounting, social media marketing, branding, sales training, search engine optimization, accounting, workflow development, financial management, all this and more. How do you get tickets? Go to thrivetimeshow.com. Again, how do you get tickets? Go to thrivetimeshow.com and request tickets today.
If you had a time machine and you could go back to, say, 1930 and you had 1 ounce of gold or a $20 bill, both of those would buy you a complete men's suit, brand new, the shirt, the tie, the belt. Either one would buy you the whole thing. If you had a time machine and then you brought both of those resources into today, 1 ounce of gold could still buy you a full suit at pretty much any men's store in America. The $20 bill, why, it probably only gets you a handkerchief or a pair of socks.
How do you get the gold and silver? Well, it's very simple. We have a friend that we've known for over 25 years. In fact, his dad was a mentor of ours, and his name is Dr. Kirk Elliott. And the way that you connect with him is you go to flyovergold.com. It's a website that we set up to make it very simple. All you do is go there, fill out your information, and someone from Dr. Kirk's team will get a hold of you to answer all of your questions. Whatever you have, they can help you out. Or you can simply call 720-605-3900. Again, 720-605-3900 to set up that free consultation. Do it today. You will be so glad that you did. We hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Flyover Conservatives podcast with David and Stacy Whited. Please subscribe, hit the notification bell, and leave us a comment below. Lastly, if you enjoyed today's podcast, share with those who came to mind. Be blessed and make it a great day.